The holidays are over.
That's just how it was.
Welcome back to Romance Review TV with Lady T, and we got another recap for you guys. Love Island Season 8, Episode 31. We are on the horizon of a recoupling where both the OG guys and the Casa Amor girls have to either stick or twist later in this episode. But there's a lot leading up to this point, and we're going to unpack all of it. But before we do, if you are new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. You like the video, smash the like button. And also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below. I like engaging with you guys. So let's talk about this. So, as we remember from the previous episode, look like things are imploding between Paige and Jacques, as Jacques is locking lips and Paige is imploding. Also too, we see a little bit of a divide because Andrew is now trying to seek connection with Coco, but we also know what's going on in the Casa Amor villa with, of course, Tasha and this guy, Billy. Speaking of Tasha and Billy, in this episode, they started off really trying to garnish their connection, and we'll see a little bit more than that too as well. Also, we see Danika is really building upon her connection that she has with Josh. I really like these two together. They're very fun, very playful. Again, Danika kind of wants him to work for it. She's trying to play a little hard to get when it comes to Josh, but you know, Josh is hey, he's taking his time too. So, and she seems like she's trying to fall a little bit. She's liking her some Josh. She just, don't know how to maneuver with this yet. In the middle of her date with Josh, we see Tasha stealing Danika away to pretty much let her know everything about the kiss and the connection. Now, they briefly talked about it yesterday, but Danika is giving her advice like, hey, this is your experience. You need to go ahead and do what's best for you. I know you're probably thinking about Andrew. And at the same time, she's singing Billy's praises because Billy is this fun, playful guy. And as she stated yesterday, Andrew is so reserved. Well, I don't know about that if she actually knew what was going on in the OG villa. But needless to say, of course, Tasha is smiling from ear to ear, and Danika is cheering her on, and a lot of the other girls as well, giving them support to say, hey, do your thing. Don't be scared. Now, back over in the OG villa, Jacques. Now, he's having a conversation with Molly. Now, at first, I thought he and Molly, was really hitting it off. Now, they're in this particular scene having a conversation about where she gonna sleep later on tonight, right? Well, Jacques is like, well, it's up to you. Where do you want to sleep? Well, and they're just like, well, you need to ask me where to sleep. And he's like, well, no, if you want to sleep in my bed, it's open. And I'm like, okay, you want the girl to come and sleep in the bed with you. But okay. Then they brought up, of course, Cheyanne, because of course we see Molly is like, well, wait a minute, you got an interest in Cheyanne too. Which one of us you want to sleep with you in your bed tonight? And you can tell Molly is just not here for that. And I think Jacques really picked up on that, which we'll see why I say that later. So now we have Andrew with his conversation with Miss Coco. And Coco, at first she was being a slow burn, like I said in the previous episode, but she's beginning to feel a stronger connection when it comes to Andrew. Now, Andrew, I think in this episode is starting to realize the situation that he's in. Now, as much as he have a connection, there's still a part of him that is feeling Tasha, but he's also pissed off at Tasha because people are thinking he's getting played, which you know where I stand if you've listened to my previous recaps in the other videos. But Coco, on the other hand, she's here for her some Andrew. Now we back to Jax. Jax is having a conversation with, of course, Cheyanne. Now, this conversation is pretty interesting because he's talking about Molly to Cheyanne about the fact that he's not now feeling Molly and that he only gets friend vibes and he doesn't want anybody with a personality just like him. He wants somebody that's a little bit more reserved and, sweet and quiet. And, to me, because yesterday Cheyanne wasn't really that sure about Jacques, So I don't know if she's all sold on to him, but he has to make a decision at this point. So now back at Casa Amor, we see Josh and Danika having a conversation. Now this conversation started off kind of cuckoo to me because he was asking about her eye color and whether or not her her eyes were actually real and where she was wearing contacts. And she was like, oh no, my eye color is real and it's green. So don't get it twisted. But he was looking like trying to make sure. And I'm like, the girl, you can tell that this is her natural eye color. I know some contacts are really good, but okay. But they got past that conversation and they ended up in a kiss. And she was pretty much smitten after that kiss with Josh. Like I said, I really like these two. She needs to bring him back. She don't have any other connection in that villa but him. So, bring him back over to the OG villa. Now we're back over with Jacques. Jacques is telling the boys that he's about to make a decision. And that decision is to pretty much cut Molly loose. So he does sit down and have that conversation with Molly saying, you know what, as much as I think you're a sweet girl and you're a nice girl, I just have to do what's best for me. And, I'm interested more in Cheyanne and I don't think it's going to work with us. I'm only getting friend vibes. And I think she was pretty okay with that. I think these girls can, as much as he's immersing himself in the process, these girls, I don't think, meaning Molly and Cheyanne, really feeling him like that. Now, I could be wrong about Cheyanne because something is going to happen a little bit later. So now, Jacques circle back and take Molly on the terrace. They're having this conversation about, him being upfront and honest, and pretty much Molly is out the way. And so they ended up in a kiss. So I don't know. I still don't have the connection vibes with Cheyanne and him. But I think he's digging a hole. And he says a lot of himself digging a hole later on in this episode. But hey, keep digging, Jacques. So now there's this whole conversation with the guys. And Luca is just sitting in the catbird seat pretty much because he's watching pretty much Jacques and, of course, Dami have immersed himself in the process, and they realize that they're in deep doo-doo. I'll just say it like that. But, Jacques is like, okay, well, it is what it is. If I end up by myself, I'm in up by myself. And then these three are in the bed with each other, China, Summer, and Dami, and all engaged in a three-way kiss. I was like, oh my God. If, hey. And then on the other side, after the lights went off, over at Casa, we see the kissing between Billy and Tasha, Josh and Danika, of course, getting their smooches on. Now, this whole thing with Ekansu was pretty weird. She was in the bed with George. She was all leg twisted, tied with him, talking about, oh my God, I'm so hot. It's so hot in here. And I'm like, what was that all about? Well, we're going to hear a little bit about that later, because then he's talking about, well, we're just friends, right? We're just friends. What did you guys do that we did not see? We do also see movement under the covers with Andrew and Coco. So you know that they were definitely getting they slurp on with the kisses. Jacques and Cheyanne, they played a little cat and mouse thing, like, well, I don't know if I want to kiss you, but we'll see that in a minute. I really like this scene between Jay and China. I think they're so cute together. And then, of course, we got Jacques again talking about, well, I mean, if we kiss it would be enjoyable. I'm like, would you just go ahead and do what you're going to do? You're going to do it anyway. So just quit playing. They're hiding up under the covers. It is what it is, Jax. You done that and some. Now, he really been cutting up. I know some folks said some stuff about Dami, but Jax has been cutting up in this villa. Now, speaking of Dami, he's pretty much letting, the conversation that he's having with Luca about how he's torn, and he's going to have to make some big decisions on whether or not to stick it out with Summer or to continue to pursue his connection with Indiyah. And then Jacques is digging a deeper hole. This man is having fun and games. He was so open to the process, which we know is the opposite of what Paige was doing. But, it is what it is. And the boys are just sitting up there looking at him like, man, you're going to have some, how they say, Lucy, you got some splaining to do. Jocks, you're going to seriously have some splaining to do when Paige get back to this villa. As for Andrew, he's still talking about his connection that he having with Coco. He's still being bothered, though, however, what happened with Tasha. So we'll talk a little bit about that later. Back at the Casa side, we see Danika talking to the girls about the fact that they were sharing kisses last night, her and Josh, which is fine. She's free to do whatever. Indiyah is still open to trying to figure out her connection with Deji, but there was no kisses or anything happening at bedtime, but she is definitely interested on what's going on with him. Now, they're back to what happened at bedtime with Ekansu and George. They were walking up the stairs whispering about the fact that we got to keep this a secret. We don't want to tell the boys if we ever get back what has happened. This can never get back to the villa. And I'm like, what did you do? I think she's doing damage control, and her being an actress, she know how TV works. So before she trying to, before it gets out that something could have happened, she's trying to be like, well, we were friends. Nothing happened. We're not interested in each other. We never started anything. And I'm like, girl, you working too hard to cover up nothing. So I don't know what happened between her and George, but it was so much so George had to ask her, well, what happened last night? You must have some interest in me, and I want to know if you do. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously something big happened because she was hot, according to her. On the flip side, her partner, Davide, he's pretty much in a position where he really don't want to make a decision about anybody, not even Ekansu. So now this weird scene with Cheyanne and, of course, Jacques was pretty darn interesting. Take a look. I don't know what he was doing or she was doing down inside his shorts, but so much so we see him get out of the pool trying to rearrange himself. So whether he was trying to show something, do a little show and tell with her, I don't know. But Jocks, I'm telling you, boy. Let's switch back over to Casa. We see the conversation between Indiyah and Danika is trying to pretty much tell her, you need to go ahead and pursue that. This is all part of the process. If you have an interest in Deji, do your thing, girl, and don't be scared. And Indiyah is definitely not scared. she had interesting things to say about how she would handle it.
I heard that like Dami was like kissing someone because he felt something. I mean, he has to, do you know what I mean? If he felt someone and he kissed someone, then he has to do what he has to do. But like, of course I wouldn't like it. But then he has to put himself first. And so do I. But I don't know.
We'll see if those words actually is true when she hear what's happening in the OG villa with Dami and Summer. So with the look on the face of Tasha as how she speak of Billy toward the girls, I'm assuming at this point it's pretty much a wrap for Andrew. And I'm glad he is pretty much, pursuing something with Coco at this point because, yeah, I mean, the way she's parading around Casa, letting everybody know how she's building this connection with Billy, yeah, I think it's a wrap with these two, which is fine with me because Tasha really was doing him dirty. Now, speaking of Andrew is really down in the dumps at this point because he pretty much think that Tasha has been fake with him and how she has been treating him. And I mean, I think in my opinion, she has been coasting, going along to get along, the roller coaster up and down. Yes, we're together. We're not together. I don't like you. I do like you. Oh, I have a connection. No, I don't have a connection. And now with the world, obviously, he found out what we think. His boys has been telling him in the villa. It finally has just taken a toll because he invested, his connection, his feelings into that whole coupling with Tasha. So, yeah, he's feeling it in the moment. He has to make a decision. I mean, yes, it's painful, but you also got Coco in the mix. So, this is where you actually see where your connections could go. Now, speaking of connections, Deji is leaving it in Indiyah's hand to make a decision on whether she wants to pursue the connection. And this is what she had to say to Deji about where she stands with, this whole process and how she looks at dating.
Like, I'm nobody's girlfriend yet. Like, on the real world, realistically, I'd probably speaking to you and Dami, and you would not know about each other. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's just until maybe one of you
really even the game,
just,
So yeah, she said it. She was like, I would be dating both of y'all at the same time and y'all wouldn't even know it. So she has a totally different approach to this thing. She's moving differently than Dami, but she still circular dates and she's, living in the process of this all. Now we're back to Tasha and Billy. Billy is winning her over and they're talking about the differences in the connections that she have with him and of course the connection that she has with Andrew. And when you start talking to the new guy about how you moving with your current or your old guy, yeah, it's pretty much a wrap. And so she's talking about the difference in the energy. I like having fun with you, and with him it's just so different, and you really make me laugh, and we always smiling and our energy is so playful and fun. And I'm like, okay, well, go ahead and do your thing. So now we get to the end of this. Both villas get the text message that it's time to do the recoupling and decisions have to be made. Dami is looking like a deer in headlights because he realized that either he got to go and choose Indiyah or he got to figure out his thing with Summer. And it's not going to be an easy decision. Back over at Casa, Ekansu is pretty much saying like, hey, everything better not have changed with Davide. And she's pretty much good. She'll find that out. Paige, on the other hand, is excited to be back at the villa. And I'm kind of like Indiyah's face, like, girl, if you only knew what Jacques was doing. So they ended the episode pretty much with everybody sitting around a fire pit. Miss Hostess shows up, letting them know, that we're about to do a recoupling, and then you could either choose one of the girls that you were originally coupled up with or one of the new girls. And that's where they pretty much left us at. And Andrew making he got decisions to make. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye.